Hey guys, this is Paulina, and in this grammar video we're going to learn about comparisons. First of all, let's focus on the form. How do we make comparisons? How do we create comparative and superlative adjectives? I'm sure you already know that we add ER and EST to all one-syllable regular adjectives. So for example, we say cheap, cheaper, and the cheapest. If an adjective finishes with an E, for example, late, then we only add R or EST, or ST, sorry. So we say late, later, the latest. In some cases, when we have a consonant, vowel, consonant adjective, or sometimes there are two consonants, vowel, consonant, we double the final consonant. For example, thin. Thinner, the thinnest. We always double the last consonant. Now, this also happens with fat, sad, wet, red, big, hot, or fit. If a regular adjective has more than one syllable, we use more and most before the adjective. So, for example, we say beautiful, more beautiful, and the most beautiful. Adjectives which technically have two syllables but finish with Y, like happy, also are created, well, the comparatives and superlatives are created by adding ER and EST, but Y turns into I. All right? So, for example, happy, happier, the happiest. There is a limited number of two-syllable adjectives which can be created, whose comparatives and superlatives can be created by added ER or EST. For example, stupid, you can both say stupider, the most stupidest, or more stupid and the most stupid. Other examples of adjectives like that are clever, common, friendly, gentle, narrow, pleasant, polite, quiet, and simple. The rules are quite similar for adverbs. We use more and most in front of most adverbs. So for example, quietly, more quietly, the most quietly. If you think about it, all the adverbs have two syllables, quietly. Yeah? So that's why we usually just add more and most in front of them. However, there is a limited number of adverbs which have a comparative and superlative form. For example, fast, faster, the fastest. Other examples are hard, late, long, and soon. Now, be careful because some adjectives and adverbs unfortunately are irregular. And so they have either a comparative or superlative form which is irregular or both of them. So for example, we say good, better, best, or well, better, best, bad, worse, worst, or badly, worse, worst, and finally far, further, the furthest, or far, farther, the farthest. So, how do we use comparatives and superlatives? Well, we use them to talk about people or things that are different in some way. So we use comparative forms of adjectives or adverbs with then. For small differences, you can use a bit, a little, or slightly. And for big differences, you can use much, a lot, far, or significantly. So we could say, I think listening is more difficult than reading. Or, you need to work a little harder. Or, my new car is much better than the old one. We use superlative forms of adjectives and adverbs if we want to say that something is unique, the highest, the best, the biggest, whatever you need. That's the nicest thing you've said to me all day. And to emphasize the difference between one person or thing from all the others, we could use by far or easily. So this is by far the best book I've ever read. And be careful, Spanish students. We use in before a noun when specifying a group. So for example, Juanjo is the best student in the class. All right? Or Spain is the best country in the world. Why not? Or maybe Poland. Finally, we also use less and the least as opposites of more and most. So rugby is less popular than football here. That's my least favorite track on the album. Or you could say, history is my least favorite subject. Like more and most, they can be used as adverbs. You should eat less and exercise more. I'm sure I've heard that in the last few weeks. And use less and least with uncountable nouns and fewer and fewest with plural countable nouns. Use more, most with all nouns. So I'm eating less chocolate and fewer sweets and drinking more water. When we compare two people or two things, we also use constructions with as and as. So for people or things that are in the same way or in some way similar, you could say she's as intelligent as her sister. As, adjective, as. All right, so we got as, adjective, as. You can use almost, nearly, just to qualify the comparison. It's almost as cold today as it was yesterday. So it's not as cold, but it's almost as cold. So can replace the first as in negative sentences. It's not so difficult as I thought it would be. To describe small differences, use not quite. So he's not quite so important as his brother. You could say he's a little less important than his brother. And to describe big differences, use not nearly. Her new film isn't nearly as bad as her last one. So her new film is much better than her last one. Use as much with uncountable nouns and as many with countable nouns. All right? So I haven't got as many chips as Sally. A typical fight between brothers or sisters or siblings. And it's not as much fun without Joe here. Yeah. Finally, the same noun as we can use to, again, compare people. So my mom's the same age as my dad. And you could, of course, say my mom's not the same age as my dad. And the last important instruction for today is the comparative the. We use this structure for changes which occur together. So we've got two changes. The second one is the result of the first one. So the more money I have, the faster I spend it. The more I study, the better my results. You see, so you study more, your results are better. The more I study, the better results I get. And finally, little, no or not a lot of difference between. So we could say there is much difference between my job and yours. There is little difference between Uarte and other high schools in Linares. You could say there's a lot of difference, or there's much difference between Jaén and Linares. And that's everything for today. So, thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in class. Leave me thumbs up and a comment if you've liked this video. And that's all for today. Bye!